Today is February 5. We are here with Serikjan. My name is Mehmet Volkan Kaşıkçı. I am an ATAJURT volunteer, only foreign volunteer of the group. So we are recording this video in order to attract attention to an unknown aspect of the tragedy in Xinjiang. So thus far, different media outlets have covered more or less have covered what's happening within concentration camps, within prisons, within forced labor factories. So some journalists have written about people who passed away, who died in camps or prisons. So there are cases when people die after they are released from concentration camps or prisons. These are all known, more or less. Not all cases, but there are cases that were written about by foreign journalists, mostly Radio Free Asia or other journalists wrote about these cases. However, there is one more aspect of this tragedy that no one has paid attention yet. So what happens to people when their loved ones are detained by Chinese people? What happens to people? These are supposedly free people. They are not detained people. But what happens to them when their children, when their parents detained? That's the reason why we are recording this video. So we have a lot of cases when especially old people fall ill and then pass away and then lose their life after their children are detained. I have written four cases here. I am going to talk about four specific cases. Serikjan has brought up other cases, but this is very common. For example, Kutlubay Rahimbergen. Kutlubay Rahimbergen was Halide Akıtkan kız's husband. Halida's three sons and three daughter-in-laws were all detained. Then Halide and Kutlubay were in Kazakhstan, and they did not know who were taking care of their 14 grandchildren. It was one of the heaviest tragedies, and and Kutlubay finally passed away, died of sorrow. So his three sons, three daughter-in-laws, 14 grandchildren. He basically couldn't stand this sorrow more. He was sick for a few months. Then in 2018, in October, I guess, if I'm not wrong, he passed away. We have another example like this. For example, Şeterhan Şahiza kızı. You can find these examples among our videos or on Xinjiang Victims Database, which is run by Yevgeny Bunin. So Duman Halıkbek. So this guy was detained in Xinjiang because he used to sell products of Kazakhstan, and he used to also he was once a bus driver between Urumqi and Taldykugan. That was the reason for his detention. So he was detained in front of his mother's eyes. So and his detention was quite tragic. The police officers just threw his head, and he was how can I say it? He resisted, and it was quite a scene. And his mother witnessed this and then immediately fell ill, and she was not even that old. If I'm not wrong, she was like 47, 48 years old, and after she saw this, she fell ill, and then eventually she passed away too. But it's not only old people. Even young people fall ill and die after their loved ones are detained. We have one example, Jaysan Kizatoğlu. Jaysan Kizatoğlu was a very young guy. He was 22 years old. His father at the time was detained in China and was sent to a concentration camp. His mother was under house arrest. So I did a video interview with his little sister Marmer. It was in January 2019, more than a year ago, I remember. And it was one of the most sentimental video interviews I have ever had. Marmer started, especially when she was talking about her brother, she started crying, and she said, In Kazakh she said, "Ekeşeşemde sarındım deyip kayıtsız bolup ketdi." Which means, so of course I'm not a medical expert, I'm not a medical doctor, but I have also talked to my friends who are medical doctors, and it is medically, scientifically a fact that sorrow, losing a loved one is one of the most common reasons for some kind of sicknesses. So usually these people have either heart problems or vascular problems or high blood pressure, but the loss of a loved one triggers these sicknesses, and this is one of the most important causes of death. And as I said, Jaysanki Izatoğlu was just 22 years old, and he passed away after his father was detained and his mother was taken under house arrest. There is one more example that I have written here. I have written down Yerbolat Aben. So Yerbolat Aben's sister Oralhan gave us a lot of testimonies for her mother and for her husband. So basically, Oralhan's and Erbolat's mother was detained and sent to a concentration camp. Erbolat used to live together with his mother, and when his mother was detained, he got depressed. He got depressed, and according to his brother-in-law, who was in Xinjiang then, he was so sad. He was so depressed, and at the end he killed himself. He committed suicide.
It is unconfirmed information. Maybe we think the Chinese police killed him.
That's also another possibility. But even if he committed suicide, it is because the police was repressing him. Yeah, police was putting pressure over him, and he was missing his mother deeply, and he either committed suicide or was killed by the police. That's another example how people outside of camps, outside of prisons, are affected and are part of this Xinjiang tragedy. So we are inviting all journalists to pay attention to this aspect of tragedy too. We haven't talked about what happens to regular people whose relatives, whose loved ones are detained. For example, we have here testifiers who are trying to survive with 6 children. Her husband is detained in a Chinese prison, and she is trying to survive here with 6 children. Yeah. Of course, almost all of these people are having enormous financial difficulties. They're all in need of money. But the more tragic part of the story is that many people also get sick and lose their lives. These 4 are not the only cases. Serikjan Bilash has just talked about another example, Külmesan, for example. It's very common for old people. For old people, it's very common. Yeah. For young people, it is a bit rare. But there are also young people who pass away after this. So that's all.
Külmesan, he is a 95 years old person. While his daughter visited our office, and Külmesan, 95 years old, and his wife 93 years old, and the unregistered two real ATAJURT organizations recorded one video film, a short documentary film about Mr. Külmesan and his wife, the 95 years old and 93 years old lady and the 95 years old gentleman, and because this family lost 2 persons, Mr. Külmesan's son and the grandson. Both of them visited back China, and after they were arrested, and they didn't allow them go back Kazakhstan. And after the Mr. Külmesan's son's wife, the daughter-in-law, died suddenly because he very missed his husband and his son. And after 1 year, Mr. Külmesan died also. And that kind of case in that village, call it the Shelek, it is very popular. We already recorded 2 or 3 times video, and also foreign media. They came. Jumon, you know, the Associated Press journalist, we let him interview that woman who his husband make suicide in China. because his husband stayed in China, and the local officials confiscated his passport, and this man suicided. But that's a political saying, but nobody confirmed how.
But that's also possible because all these people get so depressed. It's an incredible country to live in. You are under direct surveillance. You are under direct pressure every day, and that's what probably there are like hundreds of cases
hundreds of cases, and that kind of cases is more. And for example, the older father died in jail while he saw his son in jail also. And the father and the son in jail, but they didn't know each other. But while father saw his son is in jail, he died suddenly. His name is Ashan Alapia, and the male Kazakh born at 10th May 1948.
Is this the guy who ran towards his son when he saw it in prison? Then he was beaten by the police and he died.
Yeah, died in Poland because the son and the father, they didn't know each other, but both of them are in jail. But sometimes one of the person is, and the policeman arranges the family members meeting each other 1 month, one time or 2 times, and they call it Alapia. Maybe the police made one mistake. Maybe his name is Alapia and his son's family name is Alapia. And Ashan Alapia also came to the meeting room, and his son is also came to the meeting room. And the relative is next side. While Ashan said his son is also, why do you here? And after the police catched him, beaten him, and died.
He died.
Yeah, and that kind of information is so more. It is very popular. How could I say? One of the young guy is Ihtiyar Shatavalada. He is very healthy young guy, but after arrest and after unknown injection, he
got tuberculosis.
Yeah, he got tuberculosis, but Chinese officials didn't allow him receive a medical service. Only 1 month, 2 days or 3 days after they arrest him again and release him for 2 days or 3 days after they arrest him again, and at least the Ihtiyar Satvalda in Kazakh language died in jail. That kind of cases we could say hundreds of, for example. So it is important to let the world know what happened inside the re-education camps and what happened outside of re-education camps. And the people is also dying, and the people is also every day and everywhere happening tragedy, unexpected tragedy.
And I forgot to say something about Erbil Ataben. When Erbil Ataben died, either committed suicide or was killed by police, his mother, who was in concentration camp, was only allowed to come to funeral for 6 hours.
6 hours.
She was there only for 6 hours, and immediately she was taken back to concentration camp.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, about these cases in Chinese. Translated the version we will continue tomorrow, and the Turkish version also tomorrow.
That's right now enough. Yeah, yes.
Okay.